So I'm going to briefly go over some source control strategies, and I just want to open up and say that this is not Git specific and it's not TFS specific. Any major source control utility should support these. And this is more of a awareness talk, like these things exist and these are concepts that people are using, and not so much how do I get from 0 to 100 today. And the three strategies I'm going to go over are mainly focused on encouraging continuous integration, and that is developers working on code in parallel and committing their changes several times a day, and to enable continuous delivery. And that is integrating my source control system with my delivery system, so that I can automate deployments and directly from source control. So who works with other developers directly with code in here? And who deploys applications? All right, so this is something that you guys would want to take a look at. So the first one I'm going to go over is called git-flow, and this looks pretty complex, right? So let's break it down. And I'm not going to get into all the details of it, but the first concept is it has two infinite lifespan branches. And so this was written by Vincent Dreisen in 2010. If you Google git-flow, there'll be two GitHub repositories that come up, and those are just tools that help you implement this. And then I think third or fourth record down is the actual article that discusses this. So you have your master branch and your develop branch. And the first thing about this is this strategy has a lot of rules. And it's very well documented. So you can take a developer who isn't familiar with your team at all, say, hey, we use git-flow. This is our workflow process. They can learn about that, and they'll be able to easily integrate and understand the history behind what you guys have done. So one of the main rules is the master branch is always deployable, and you tag it just like Grayson was talking about. Your develop branch is your whip branch. So anytime I'm ready to start doing some kind of work, I'm always starting with develop. In addition, there are three other branches. There's your feature branch or utility branches. There's features, releases, hotfixes. So whenever I want to add something new, we're going to create a feature branch off of develop. Whenever I want to prep for a release, I'm going to create a release branch. And whenever something goes wrong in production, I'm going to create a hotfix branch. And I'm not going to get too far into the details of this. The pros of this strategy is it's very well documented. So like I said, you can grab a developer who's not familiar with it, get them up to speed pretty quick. It's also flexible. It handles a lot of different scenarios. And the cons should be pretty obvious. It's fairly complex, and isn't necessarily right for individuals, small teams, or teams with multiple deployment environments. There are a few different cases where this is probably not the right strategy for you. There's a lot of teams using this though, and this is probably the most well documented and one of the most well-known strategies out there. This is GitHub flow. In contrast, much simpler. There's really only one rule, one hard rule, and that's your master branch must always be deployable. So my production version is my master branch. When whatever's running into production, if I need to look at what's happening in that code, I go to my master branch. When I want to make a change, I create a new branch with a descriptive name. I commit my changes, and then I open a new merge pull request. This concept is in Git and TFS as well, and I'm requesting to merge this branch into this branch, or the series of changes on this branch into my master branch, in a way that facilitates collaboration and communication. So this is where our team's going to get together and we're going to start looking through the changes that I've made. We can discuss and comment on those changes. And then deploy and merge. And these can actually be the exact same step. Sometimes they aren't, but this image came from GitHub, so I'm going to let them handle that. This is Git lab flow. So this was written in 2014. It inherits most of GitHub flow. The main difference here is that my master branch, rather than representing my production environment, it represents a staging environment. And one of the main reasons for this is if you've used Git, most tools default to the master branch being your default branch. So when I pull in a repository, I'm on master. And I don't necessarily want to, because what that does to my workflow is I clone and I branch. That's the simplest workflow, right? But if master's production and my develop branch is the one I should be working off of, now I've got to switch branches before I actually start working. So master's staging, and you still have other branches for features. So it inherits most of GitHub flow, but we now have additional branches for each deployment environment. I really like this because I can merge into master. I can then push to the environment I'm interested in. So it handles multiple environments very well. Yeah, and so deployments are done by merging to the environment-specific branch. So which strategy is right? I'm not going to answer that. That's up to you guys. You guys need to take a look at the strategies, see what fits best for you. If you're not using source control, start as simple as possible. Just start using source control. It doesn't even matter if you pick up a strategy yet, but I would definitely start simple. So if you haven't implemented a strategy before, GitHub Flow might be the one to start with, just because it's incredibly simple. So on to the dreaded demo. So this is GitLab. This is available for everyone in here, so you guys can start using this if you want. And it's analogous to TFS, Visual Studio Team Services, whether it's on-prem or in the cloud. It's analogous to GitHub, and of course GitLab, the one that they host. So the first thing I'd like to take a look at is what branches I'm using on this. I have two branches. I have a master branch and a production branch. So you can already see that I'm working on the GitLab flow. And let's take a look at what this application does. I'm going to go to my environment. I'm going to pull up my production environment. I'm going to pull up my staging environment. And there we go, so we can see. And let's make a change. So we're going to change it from saying hello world to hello res.com. All right. So this is, I'm going to commit my changes. And now I'm going to push them to my remote. Okay, that worked. Maybe. We'll see. So what happens is when I push to my remote, it's going to run a job that I've defined. That job's called deploy staging. And yeah, I didn't save my file. This is why you usually don't deploy. But a great reason here is I am pushing to a staging environment rather than my production environment. So I'm not breaking production. Alright, so just so you guys know I'm not cheating, here's my production environment, here's my staging environment. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a merge request. This is the same thing as a pull request in GitHub if you use that. And I'm going to merge master into production. Alright, I submit the merge request. And this is where we can go in and I can say, hey Grayson, can you take a look at these changes? I'm not really sure what I'm doing. We can comment on it, so say this needs to be changed. whatever. All right, so now what's going to happen is I'm going to actually perform the merge. And hopefully it deploys to production. So I've now gone from, I've made the changes locally, I push it to my remote, to my master branch, which automatically deploys to staging. I then merge my master branch into production, which deploys to production. And then finally, that was not good. I made a change that broke everything. So let's go back here to my environments. Let's go to production. We can see the list of changes I've made, and let's roll back. So now production is in the exact state it was at before I made those changes. So that's pretty much the demo. I'm glad it actually worked. Deployments are always kind of make me a little nervous, but this makes me a lot less nervous when I have a tool that I can use that allows me to deploy and roll back quickly. And this wouldn't be possible without source control. So hopefully if you hadn't seen something like this before, you're a little interested in it now. If you have seen it before, sorry. That's it.